What up, dude bros? I'm Frank. This is a video review of the Nerf Elite 2.0 Stormcharge. This blaster by Nerf is a flywheel-powered semi-auto magazine-fed blaster. It's the new Elite 2.0 Stryfe. Let's get into it. Included is the blaster, magazine, stock, barrel attachment, darts, and instructions. 4 AA batteries are required. External overview of the Stormcharge, starting up at the front. There is an in-strike barrel lug. Gotta have them tactics, bro. The blaster includes this barrel attachment, but of course it's compatible with all of your other barrel attachments. This barrel attachment design is not new, but it is a recoloring that matches the blaster very well. And that attaches to the barrel lug like normal. Moving down, we have a sling mount right here. Up on the top, we have an in-strike tack rail, so you can put an optic or something up there. And we have another in-strike rail on the side of the blaster, on the right-hand side only, no in-strike rails on the left. And this rail doubles as a small carry handle. And through the carry handle, you have a little built-in sighting system, sort of like on the Rapid Strike. However, it's so low you can't actually see through it when shouldering the blaster. You have to hold it out like this to see through, but it still looks pretty cool. Over on this side, we have an access door. You can just pull that down to get in there. There is no electronic lock on this access door, so you can still rev the blaster if that's open. And the access door allows you to get your finger in there to clear out any jams and malfunctions. However, I did not experience any jams and malfunctions with this blaster. Also on the left-hand side is the battery tray. As I showed you, this blaster runs on 4 AA batteries. And of course, being a flywheeler, doesn't function at all without those batteries installed. Moving down to the magazine and the magwell. To remove the magazine, you strike the mag release right here. It is an extended lever design, and it's on the center line of the blaster, so a right and left-handed shooter can use it equally. Full ambi, bro! And the positioning of this lever allows you to use your firing hand like this to extend your middle finger to pull out the mag, or you can use your offhand's thumb to pull out the mag like that. Other than the new design on the mag release, the magwell works just like all the other in-strike magwells. The included magazine is a standard in-strike magazine with a capacity of 10 darts. Moving back to the trigger, this is a mechanically operated semi-auto system that operates very much like the Stryfe. One trigger pull, one shot. I'm getting a little more resistance on this trigger pull than the Nerf Stryfe, but overall it works pretty well. Below the main trigger is the rev switch, so of course you want to hold that down to rev up the flywheels prior to firing. It is a pretty chunky rev switch, and even when you press it all the way down, it is still protruding on your finger. It doesn't completely disappear into the shell like on the Stryfe. Now down to the grip. Overall, this is a pretty comfortable grip. It feels just a hair smaller than the Stryfe's grip, but overall the dimensions and feel of it feel pretty good. And there's a slight contrast in material and finish on here. This teal feels slightly different than the blue. That combined with the roundness, it feels more athletic than the Stryfe grip for some reason. But it's pretty comfortable for my very large hand, but I think it's going to be super comfortable for smaller hands as well. Overall, pretty good grip. And at the bottom of the grip, we have a slinger or lanyard mount here. Moving back in the rear of the blaster, we have an in-strike stock attachment point. The included stock is not of a new design. We've seen this before, but it is a new color to match the blaster very well. This is a very short stock, similar to the Retaliator stock in length, but it's a standard in-strike stock attachment lug, so you can put on whatever stock fits your body. So that's it for the overview. Now I'll show you the blaster firing. Starting with blue Nerf Elite 2.0 darts. A little faster out of an extended mag. Operating the Stormcharge went pretty much exactly as expected. I did not experience any blaster jams or major malfunctions. So overall, it operates like the other Nerf blasters. It's very similar to a Stryfe. To compare this blaster to others, I put it up on my chronograph. With Nerf Elite darts, I got an average of exactly 70 feet per second, which is smack dab on the Elite par. So you'll be shooting just like all the other Nerf blasters on the market. Of course, dart zone blasters are going to shoot a little harder than this. But overall usage and firing performance is perfectly average for Nerf. That's the objective information I can provide on this blaster, now to my personal opinion. Overall, I'm pleasantly surprised with the Stormcharge. Looking at the images before I received the blaster, I thought I wasn't going to like it because I thought the balance was going to be worse than it is. And I think the balance and proportions with the included attachments are a little bit odd. But when you throw on a slightly bigger barrel and a slightly bigger stock, the proportions make a little more sense. The included stock and barrel just don't seem in scale to the core blaster unit. But that's easily fixed by throwing on whatever stock and barrel you want. Tactics, bro. So overall opinion on this blaster is pretty high. A quick comparison of the Stormcharge and the Stryfe. The grips feel a little bit different, but I really think it's going to come down to personal taste. If you have a smaller hand, I think the Stormcharge grip is going to be a little more comfortable for you. And the rev trigger design is a little bit different. I personally prefer the Stryfe's rev trigger because when you press it in all the way, it completely disappears into the shell, which is just more comfortable. The Stormcharge's rev trigger just feels a little bit clunkier and kind of in my way. Not too big a deal, and most casual nerfers are not going to feel the difference, so it's nothing to really complain about. But naturally, I'm going to complain about it. Another difference is the magazine release. The Stormcharge's magazine release is an extended flappy paddle. However, there's an angle in that flappy paddle which makes it a little bit uncomfortable. When I modify my Nerf Stryfes, I like to throw in the Worker extended flappy paddle magazine release. But that has a more straight design. It doesn't have the curve like on the Stormcharge. I think the Stormcharge magazine release is going to be a lot easier for people with smaller, shorter fingers. With smaller hands, it'll still be really easy to extend that middle finger and to do a fast reload like that, which is a little quicker because it doesn't require the dexterity of your offhand's thumb. Because I don't have short fingers, personally, I actually prefer the Stryfe's magazine release. Even in stock form, it's just a little more comfortable. But I have much longer than average fingers, and I don't struggle with this at all. Another subtle difference is the Stormcharge uses a mechanical lock on the rev trigger for some reason. So if you don't have a magazine inserted into the blaster, it tries to mechanically stop you from pulling the rev switch. Compared to the Stryfe, which uses an electronic switch, so if you don't have a magazine inserted, it will not rev up. And that makes for a much smoother rev trigger pull. I keep getting extra friction on this rev switch. And mine's actually not working, so I can actually rev this without the mag in there. But then it kind of hiccups, so the locks sometimes work, but it doesn't always work. I don't get this. I think the electronic switch was way better in the Stryfe compared to the mechanical, because even with the magazine in there, it just adds more weight and mechanical grit to this rev switch. But that's a pretty nuanced difference that most people will not care about. Now I'm just finding a reason to complain about it for YouTube drama. And another subtle difference, tack rail on the side, tack rail underneath. Better or worse? No, it's just what do you want to attach to the blaster. I personally don't really mount stuff to the bottom of the Stryfe rail, so I think the advantage goes to the Stormcharge with the side rail, which is just a little more tactical. And beyond those differences, a huge difference is the cosmetics. The Stryfe is a little bit more asymmetrical, the Stormcharge feels more symmetrical. It's not perfectly symmetrical, but it's way more balanced looking in my opinion, which is only really noticeable when you add a really big front barrel attachment on the Stryfe. Sometimes because it's asymmetrical, it looks super weird and unbalanced. So that's an advantage to the Stormcharge. And subjectively, personally, I think the Stormcharge's top end is looking really cool. I think it looks super futuristic compared to the Stryfe. It looks like an updated Rapid Strike where they just chopped off the front of it. Conclusion on comparing the Stormcharge to the Stryfe, I don't think one is completely better than the other. I think it's just a different option with slightly different ergonomics and a slightly different feel. Same drivetrain, same performance, so I think you're going to be happy with either. However, without mods, the Dart Zone Spectrum is probably going to stomp both of these. So that's the comparison to the Stryfe. Now for the Stormcharge, to buy or not to buy. If you're looking for a flywheel, semi-auto, magazine-fed, elite dart firing blaster, yeah, definitely check it out. This is definitely not a superior Nerf Stryfe, it's just sort of a refreshed new reskin of the Stryfe. No jams or malfunctions, it performs like all the other Nerf blasters on the market, so there's certainly no objective reason to avoid purchasing this one. But before you buy it, consider, are you going to mod your blaster? If you're not going to modify your blaster and you want excellent performance, the Adventure Force Spectrum yields better performance than this blaster, meaning a much higher muzzle velocity out of the box. And if you're going to modify your blaster, the Stryfe has a ton of aftermarket parts available. It's pretty much the Honda Civic of Nerf blasters. It has all sorts of body kits that are specifically tailored for the front end of the Stryfe. Internal mods, extended magazine release, every mod you can think of is already available for the Stryfe. It's been around for a while. So that's a very muddy purchase recommendation, but there are so many different types of Nerfers out there, I don't know what you're into. But if you're looking for something like this, I think you'll be very satisfied with the Stormcharge. So hopefully I've laid out all the information you need to make an educated purchase decision. If you'd like to buy one of these, I'll put a purchase link in the description box below. That concludes this video review. Thanks so much for watching, bros, and as always, stay tactical.